think she'll just turn it on when you say that.
I'd like to call this meeting the Harwich Cemetery Commission to order
At
at
8:30.
8:30, right on schedule. We're gonna have to approve the minutes for July 8th and 13th, till next time.
Okay.
And we're gonna start from the correspondences from Town Hall. Email from Chris Atkinson.
So Chris Atkinson works for the Native Plant Study in the state, Massachusetts Wildlife Heritage, and she reached out to me and Amy Uzalski because they were doing a survey around the actual island pond because they have some endangered species of plants in there. And so I met them on Saturday and we walked through the trail system, and it was very thick with vegetation for them to try to get down to the pond. I was there for a few hours and had to leave, so I don't know. And I emailed her this morning to see if they actually were able to locate the endangered species they were looking for. But as soon as I get an update from her, I will let you guys know. They really don't like to publish which species are endangered because then people tend to pick them or take them. So
Yeah, when the lady slipper blooms,
Yeah.
we all keep it secret on the bike path.
yeah. So I think it's a great thing that she does. She does it all over the state, and she was a very interested about the Arboretum property and about possibly getting master gardeners involved. So I'm going to reach back out to her, and I did talk to Russ about that as well, Russ Norton from the Cooperative Extension, to see if he could get some of the master gardeners involved, helping us with different projects that we do within the Arboretum grounds.
That's cool. That'll be fun to get all that stuff straightened out. Next is the email from Jamie Goodwin on the non-resident taxpayer meeting.
Yep, so Jamie is putting together a video footage of all of the department heads for the non-taxpayers meeting, and it'll be like a 5-minute video. I'll be doing it today at 10:45. So to just tell them about our upcoming articles for town meeting and what they should expect from the cemetery department. So it's pretty straightforward, and in the packet I have a list of things that that we'll be going through, and I wanted to ask you if there's anything else that you guys would like to include in that.
Just the upcoming plans, like for the Veterans Memorial and all that kind of.
Yeah, it's in that list. It says
Okay.
And the articles that you were gonna talk about.
correct.
Right,
Yeah, they're in the old business kind of section.
You said you have a list of them?
Yes, if you go for, I'm going to discuss it later in the
Oh, okay.
packet. So.
Then an email via website from Jeff Foster, on the headstone of his fathers.
So if you guys look, this gentleman contacted me about this Herman Foster tombstone that he found in his father's yard, who lives in Harwich, stating that this gentleman died May 12th, 1862. I searched all of our records. I went on to the Harwich Independent to see if we had an obituary or to find anything else. And I was able to locate that the man did die in Brewster, so I sent him back some correspondence saying that he might want to reach out to the Brewster cemeteries to see if it was supposed to be there. But he is not buried in Harwich. But this gentleman doesn't know what to do with this tombstone that is currently on his father's property that he's trying to get rid of.
Cool if you could find it and put it on the.
Yeah, find it the right spot in
Yeah, it's,
Brewster, yeah.
and that,
if they can.
I'm fortunate because it's a lovely stone.
But he said he moved it around, didn't he? His father dragged it around with him?
Yeah.
Then
Tombstone, what
an email from Daniel Delaney.
Yeah.
Requesting a memo.
Yeah, so they just, the Board of Selectmen would like a memo from us stating our position on moving forward with the CPC article for the Union Cemetery gravestone project. We are gonna be discussing it later in the meeting, so we can just hold off on that. I will be drafting a memo to them probably today, about us moving forward with that.
We can discuss the old business part.
Yeah.
And we got the 23 budget development articles.
Yes. So, we were asked, by Joe, and Megan to go over what we want to have going forward for this year's town meeting. So in FY '22, they want to know our needs, any open positions, open procurements, or procurements that were not started. So the next document, I list all of that information. And then the FY '23 budget development timeline, town meeting articles, CPC requests, and then submitting proposals to Joe. So this year, the CPC, we'll be submitting all of the information to the town administrator first. He will vet all the projects so that that doesn't run into any legal questions after the fact. So they'll go to him first, and the CPC, and then he'll vet them and then give all of his recommendations to the CPC. It's just gonna cut down on a lot of back and forth at the end. I think it's a great way to do it. That way, if there's any questions arise right at the beginning, it can be addressed. So in the packet, I included all the stuff. So we have in community preservation, I just did an update on our articles, our historic, article number 32 of the 2020, which is Pine Grove Gravestone Conservation. The appropriated amount was $75,000. It was awarded to Village Green Restoration, and they're from East Falmouth, on July 8th. They have 3 other projects they're currently working on, and it'll be started probably either the end of August or beginning of September. And then we had a recreation article number 29 at town meeting 2021, which was phase 1 of the Veterans Memorial Circle at Evergreen, and the appropriated amount was $48,385 to install the flags, lighting, and related electrical services. I am in the process of putting that bid packet together. I did have Paul Sweetser update our map, which is, I don't know if this map was included in the packet. I think he sent it to me after the fact.
I didn't see it.
But it just shows where all the electrical services were, and I wanted it mapped out so that way when we did put it out to bid, there'd be no question. So in the upper right-hand corner of the map, it says recessed lights by flagpole. So I just wanted it to be crystal clear when we put it out to bid that they were to be recessed and where their locations were. That way when the vendor pulls the electrical service up to the rotary circle, and we map out where all of the flags are going, they know exactly where the recessed lighting is, and there's no question after the fact. So I just wanted that map done before I put it out to bid. So he was able to get that to us, but I think it must have came right after I scanned it in.
Are there 2 lights by each of the flags and 4 on the American flag?
There are. So they're very, it's the same service that is at the one in Waltham. And the lights are very focused on the flag, the way they're tipped in, so they only illuminate the flag. It's not the night sky. So I had reached out to them to find out what type of bulbs and stuff that they used, so that way we wouldn't be getting anything that would be too light.
Yeah, lighting up
Yeah.
the Harwich.
Yeah, we do not want to light up the whole area. We just want to lightly light the flag, so it's just enough.
So is this exactly where that path is going to go, or is it just
No,
a
so
rough idea?
he just kind of started with that schematic on the Walk of Remembrance, starting with the founding of the town of Harwich, and then going into the Revolutionary War, and then he just listed the wars up to Korea. I mean, the cemetery is quite large over there. We just stopped at Korea for now, but it will continue because there will be more wars. And right now we're only focusing on the Revolutionary War and the Civil War memorials. We do have people that served in the War of 1812 and the Mexican-American War. I haven't been focusing on those right now because there are not as many veterans. And I wanted to finish the 2 that I had started. So that was the end of that. So next year's CPC article, we will be resubmitting the East Harwich gravestone, which is the Union Cemetery, and we are proposing a grant agreement. In the packet, I did get a letter from Carl Young, who is the historian of the Union gravestone. Well, he's of the Union Cemetery, and this is on the gravestone project. And in here, he lists the Revolutionary veterans, Civil War privates, and the Battle of the Wilderness. And he says the members of the church understand that the cemetery is not town property, but have been informed that the 1949 town meeting article number 60 to see if the town will vote to accept chapter 227 of the Acts of the General Court in 1948 has amended certain cemetery associations in this town to act and fully have their hold to hold and maintain, but for cemetery purposes only. It was moved by Oscar J. Cahoon. It was seconded, and the town vote to accept the provisions of 227 in the Acts of the General Court, 1948. This motion carried without any opposition, which turned over to the town all the maintenance of the cemeteries. After passage, the town has been maintaining this cemetery to the present. So the church is under the feeling that they handed over their perpetual care funds. The article passed. It said for cemetery purposes only, and so they want us to move forward. So he wrote a letter just from Carl, who is the historian, and then they had a meeting at the church this past Sunday, and they had all the parishioners who were in attendance at their meeting signed the letter around it saying they were in support of this project and that they would like it to move forward. So I'm excited that they...
So that should appease the selectmen and those questions they had on all this?
Yeah, I'm going to be attaching this document to the little memo that I'm sending in about us moving forward with the article, saying we have the full support of the congregation, the church historian, and I'm assuming, are you still in full?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Something needs to be done with that.
Right.
stuff.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page before I drafted the memo.
Right. So we don't need to get legal counsel on it.
I don't believe so, and I don't think that Michael McCaskill sent an email stating that he didn't think legal counsel needed to get involved, that he thinks that we could move forward with just a grant agreement, so, and which is what the CPC wanted this entire time. They just want a grant agreement.
Right.
Okay.
That's good news.
Yes. So then we also have phase 2 of the Veterans Memorial at Evergreen Cemetery, which is the construction of the Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials. I am still vetting some of the names. I do have some documentations that they served in different wars, but I don't have their exact dates of enlistment and dates. So some people sign up, but then they never go, or they sign up and then they are deserters. So we have to make sure that they fully served before we put them on the memorial. So I'm still going through that, compiling that list.
Who can vet that for you?
So I usually, if I have any question, then I just send it to the Veterans Association, and then they'll verify any of my last. I can't send them the whole list, but they'll do a few for me if we have any questions. So I'm just about finished doing that because I really need to get that out to bid because the date is fast approaching. October 1st will be here before you know it, so we really want to make sure we have all that stuff in.
It's going by quick.
Yes, so we do have some open procurements. The Arboretum Cemetery Mapping Software, which was from town meeting, Article 32 of 2019. It was $30,110. It was awarded to the Web Services of America in Dennisport for $28,700, which came under. And on May 13th, they have been working in the cemetery. I see them in there pretty much every day. And I did forward you guys on some of the 360-degree views that they've been taking. So every 50 feet in the cemetery, they will be setting up a camera. It'll give a panoramic view so that if somebody either wants to see a tree in that area or find a grave, it'll give them that area of the cemetery. So at least they'll be able to identify the memorials. It doesn't zoom in on every grave space. That would be virtually impossible, but it'll give you in the general area, so about every 50 feet. So it's coming out really nice, and I've also been editing some of the text on the pages. So when you, I can send you guys that the back end so you can actually see. So we've been updating. They also have a page where it's kind of like all the pictures of the trees, and then when you put your mouse over the picture of the tree, the description of the tree will come up. But when you click on it, then it brings you to the map, and it shows you, for instance, if it was a red maple, it would bring you to, it will show on the map where all the red maple trees were. So it's kind of an interactive experience, so that if somebody couldn't make it there to the cemetery, they can at least see it via the web on what information is available in the cemetery. So I'm very pleased. We also worked on a few of the memorial pages, updating some information. People have been sending me in documents and photographs and articles, and we're able to upload those so that if you clicked on somebody's name, it will either show you the stone, or it could show you where their obituary, and it'll still show you their location in the cemetery. So, I mean, for their price, I can't believe how beautiful this website is. It looks amazing. And then the only other thing is the update of the rules and regulations for the cemetery. So we're, what we were talking about, breaking them down into sections and then working on that. We're going to have to do that pretty soon. That usually is in before the end of the year. So the end of December, I think we have to have that.
Probably gonna need some separate meetings.
Yeah, we can do a couple
Yeah.
extra meetings just for that.
Yeah, we should set some of those up.
Does anybody have anything else they want to include on this? I think this will have us pretty full.
This
I
is-
mean, just with the rules and
Those are
regulations.
budget projects, yeah.
I don't think we should add anything to it at this point.
Where is that page, Robin? I'm sorry.
It should
The one
be,
that lists-
It's on the back of,
Beyond it, I'm sure.
yeah, you're past it. And now go the other way, the other way.
No.
Oh, no.
This one here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's only like 3 or 4 pages in, Cindy.
it's before all this, that shenanigans. Now, the
One
Pine
more.
Grove Cemetery, he's not
Yeah.
anywhere near
Thank you.
$75,000, was it?
No. It was way under. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that one will be returning some money to the CPC Historic, which is very good because I know they have a lot of historic articles coming up. I'll check the amount for that appropriation though.
I thought it was around 40 something.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was high 40s. I think it was like 48 or something like that.
But if he works out, it'd be really good. That was a good find. on him.
He was excellent. I was very pleased with that price.
Then the budget development, part of,
Oh, so we do have a letter from Beth Ellis. Now, Beth Ellis was one of the people that I called. She runs the Sagamore Cemetery Association. And I called her about the Village Green restoration because the people who won the bid for our Pine Grove. I had to vet all of his references before we could award it, especially because it was so low. And so she sent me an article, and she wanted me to include it to you commissioners, which I did. And it just talks about the Sagamore Cemetery, not just a grave subject. And it just talks about all different things, and I just included it in here in case you guys wanted to, because she asked me to. And she just talks about artwork in their cemetery, like the Weeping Willow, and just the different common carvings that you see in the cemetery. So it's kind of a neat article, and I just thought I would include it in there. We do, not this year's AmeriCorps member, but our last year, Hannah, did take a lot of photographs of all of the different symbolism on the gravestones and a lot of the different floral carvings that were on there. And she started doing some research on that, so maybe we'll have to continue with that if we get some time. And that would be a nice walking tour.
Nice page on the website.
Yeah. So we could do that. Yeah, we could just put it-
Trends and headstones.
you know,
Yeah.
what all the little rocks mean that people put on top of
The coins and
Yeah.
hockey pucks and.
No. Okay, so I wanted the next,
From Beth Hall, Beth Ellis.
no, that was the one we just did.
Okay.
Um,
Now, any other business?
So we did get another correspondence after, and I just want you guys to take a quick peek at this. This is from, so we received this,
Did you need this? I can share.
no, I have the original. So, we received a correspondence from this Chris Gleason, she called me as well. Her parents' lot, you can probably see it better on mine. So her parents' lot has, her grandparents and then her parents. And then in between them is this, large tree, which is completely covered by poison ivy. And, and there's poison ivy behind her grave space, her parents' grave space as well. And she is asking if we could remove the tree and have the poison ivy sprayed as well. Normally I would put it on the next month's agenda. She was very upset when she called after visiting, so I felt like I should probably bring it forward and ask you guys if you would object to us having them go out and spray that.
I don't have an objection to the spraying the poison ivy. How big is that tree?
So when the tree guys come in to do, they only have a few more trees left to do in there. When they come in to do it, they would be able to remove it. Our guys could not take that tree down, especially where it's in between these two memorials and there's other memorials as well. So we wouldn't want to do that for fear if they knock down the memorials, it would cost us more to have the memorials fixed than it would be for us to hire the tree guy to come in.
Is it a locust tree?
I do not think it's a locust tree. She thought it was I thought she thought it was a maple tree. But I can confirm.
Is there a precedence for doing this? I mean, the tree was there before.
So the
Before
thing
anybody
is
else.
what she's more concerned about is the tree is growing, and eventually what's gonna happen is it's gonna lift her parents' memorial
Right.
right out of the ground.
Yeah.
So she doesn't mind, having another tree placed behind or around where her parents are. But as it keeps growing, every time she comes to visit, it's getting bigger and bigger, and now it's covered with poison ivy.
Which cemetery is that in?
This is an island pond. So it's on West Main Avenue North, which is a very wooded area, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. You can't tell from this photo, but there are a lot of trees in that area.
Yeah, if we replace another tree in behind it, then I'm not opposed to taking that one down.
Well, we do have the $20,000 in the tree fund that we got at town meeting, that we should be planting new trees. We were going to be doing it in the fall. Russ Norton, because of the drought, recommended that we not plant until the fall.
Right.
Even though people saw so much rain in July, we're still in a drought. I mean, we still have drought conditions, so he recommended fall planting. So if we do remove this tree, I think that we should plant something in that area, either similar to what we took down or,
Well, I mean, in light of what we just did with the Estes,
yeah,
you know, that's what's gonna happen here. And
Right.
we're gonna have to deal with that.
right.
Definitely.
I mean, as long as it's not a tree that we need to preserve for the arboretum.
It's not, and I actually asked her, so it's not one of our specimen trees, that was the first thing I checked. So I did look on the map, and there are no trees in that general area that are on our specimen list. It would be nice for us to put one in there. And I'd like to look at some of the natives that we lost during the tornado, to maybe put one of the natives trees back in that area, because it is kind of a wooded area. So,
So I think we need a motion as to what you guys wanna do with this.
She wouldn't wanna donate a tree, would she?
I could ask, but, either way though, I think we should address, we definitely have to spray
So
for the poison ivy.
I'll make a motion that in light of what we just dealt with the SD plot,
Right,
that, yeah, we should eliminate the poison ivy. I mean, that's just a hazard for visitors. And if the tree can be taken down without harming a monument, then I make a motion that we do that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll contact the poison ivy guys.
We should probably look around, see if there's any other poison ivy, there's gotta be more.
Yeah, there, I know.
Well, perhaps that needs to be a new business item,
Okay,
you know, when we get to that. I mean, if we're gonna have somebody come in and spray, we might as well
Spray the poison.
spray,
yeah.
instead of, you know, the pea shooter approach. We get it.
Idea.
Yeah.
So we already did touch down on the update of the Veterans Memorial in Evergreen with this Paul's Sweetser plan.
Okay.
And so I also had in the packet, I put in a lot of information. It's just mostly for the general public. So I had sent an email to the Harwich United Methodist Church asking if we could install the new Harwich Union Cemetery sign. And I sent a photograph of the sign, and they did send back a letter, an email, which is in the packet, probably at the back though. On Sunday, the church voted to approve that we replace the sign for the Union Cemetery, and that that he was working on the other information for to get all the signatures done. So that was the last page of the, so if you look at the very last page, it says, sorry for taking so
Oh, yeah,
long to
there
get
it
back
is,
to you. So then the other information that I included in the packet is, and I think because Cindy and a couple other people probably had a question on the name of the cemetery. So I just pulled just a small little packet of minutes of their meeting of the Union Cemetery. So this one is the Union Cemetery meeting that was held on June 10th, 1911, and it just talks about the cemetery. And then I just put in just a few from, 1912, 1913. Oddly enough, when I was going through these, just their little votes that they had on different fences and stuff like that. And Ensign Gerald, who was their clerk, was actually buried in Evergreen. So all this information on here, and then it just talks about all their business accounts and who paid for what, perpetual care, I guess it used to be for mowing and stuff like that. This was way back in 1912 and 1913 and 1914, I believe I included. Of course, none of their columns added up to the correct totals, which made Carl a little crazy when he read it. They were just off by a few pennies, but anyways, I just thought this would put people's minds at ease about the name of the cemetery. And I thought that we should probably put it in before we install the cemetery sign so that we don't have any questions. The church is aware of the name, and the commission is aware of the name, but sometimes, like Cindy said, the general public might not have been aware that they always called it the Union Cemetery.
Yeah, all my life I've never heard it.
Yeah,
It's odd.
I know.
It really is.
So I think everyone just assumed it was the Methodist Church Cemetery, because it is the
Yeah.
Methodist Church and it is a cemetery. So we just wanted to make sure that people were aware.
Is that still active cemetery?
It is not an active cemetery. It is a very visited cemetery because of all of the Mayflower descendants. And I think a lot of people, especially in the summertime, who visit, who are Mayflower descendants, go there to visit those graves. So we just want to make it safe for people walking. There's leaning and broken monuments. I will have to go over there one more time to make sure no more monuments have fallen, and just to verify the amount of stones that they will be working on, and that we don't have to add any more. The good news is that since we had the price quote done, there are a lot more vendors in this area who do gravestone conservation work that are actually going to classes and learning and are certified in this type of work. So the price actually might go down even if we add monuments. So That's the other thing, so I'll have to go out and get an updated price quote, because the one I have is, way over a year old, so.
But you gotta temper that with newbies, no experience, and who we have now
Right.
with a lot of
Well, the guy
experience.
from the Village Green, who got this contract, had, extensive experience.
Right.
Just he's in a new company, so, I mean, the company's fairly new, but he's been doing gravestone conservation for a very long time, so.
That's good.
Okay. The Veterans Memorial, we sort of covered that.
Yeah, and we did,
Just the CBC article.
yeah, we just did that one.
The email from Paul Sweets about the Kelly Cemetery.
So, Paul, sent information over to us, and he, sent in this act of 2008, the act authorizing the town of Harwich to acquire certain property, which Harwich was spelled wrong, but I actually didn't include that one anyways, because I found the original act, which I included in the packet, which is signed by Duval Patrick. So it is, chapter 236, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in the year 2008, an act authorizing the town of Harwich to acquire a certain real estate property, and this is about the Kelly Cemetery. So it was on July 30th, 2008, and it has been signed off of. It is on Assessors Map 48, Parcel T 1-3. I sent this over, and I gave it to our town assessor originally after our last meeting, when Paul had sent it to us, and she recommended that it be one parcel. She didn't want it divided into two parcels, because then it would be one parcel that was the Kelly Cemetery, and the other one that said Town of Howard. She wants it all to say that it is all the Town of Howard Cemetery property, the
So
Kelly
it's
Cemetery.
The whole big area.
So the whole bigger area now, on the new map, will be filed at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. And I am so excited that this will be finally finished, and I think this is what happens. The wheels take so slow to turn that this is why some of the cemetery property that we have now is always under question, because there's not the completion and follow through. And I'm glad that this has been completely done and that there will be no question. So he will be filing this as, with this updated plan, and he'll also be giving this information over to our town assessor so that we have it on file at the town.
So then we can open up the grave space.
Yeah, we won't immediately need to, but it would be nice to actually make a little bit of clearing in there, because when we do have cemeteries, when we do have a funeral in that cemetery, they have to go down that long road, which can be hazardous, if anyone has been on that old Main Street or Kelly Street or whatever. I never know what to call it, because the names change so many times leading into that, so. So I'm excited that it's finally finished.
That's good.
So it definitely is recorded and everything, huh?
Yep, all set.
Awesome.
Yep.
So it's been recorded?
Yep, he was bringing it right down after
Great.
he sent it over to us.
Nice. Then we have the email from Chris Nickerson.
Yeah,
about
so,
paving.
so I know that on the June 8th meeting, we went out to approval, and we did approve another company to pave at the cemeteries, doing the repairs at Mount Pleasant and Island Pond. And the winner of that bid was actually RJ Nardone, and it was for $17,000. That's not actually in the packet. I'm just bringing this up because somebody might remember that. He couldn't do it. He wouldn't give us a date when he was going out. He bid on it, but then he was like, well, I'm too busy. I really can't do it. So then Chris said, you need to tell us when you're going to be going out to do it, or the bid's not going to be valid. So then Chris Nickerson sent him back a message saying that we're going to be going back out to bid. And we included the front entrance, which wasn't included on the original bid.
Right.
And actually, the bid went down. So the new bid is $13,300. We actually saved almost $4,000. And we do have somebody who is going to go out and actually do all the paving and including the entrance. So, so it is John Canto Landscaping, and so I just need to know if somebody wants to approve, and I don't know if we have to say that we because Chris told him that we were no longer doing the other project. So we never gave him any information that we were going to move forward. So this project has been canceled, the original one.
Without the front entrance, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but now we're gonna move forward with this new bid,
Right.
which included the front entrance for
Did he
13,300.
say when he could do that?
I think he's gonna be able to do it pretty quickly, so they were waiting for your approval.
Yeah.
So,
Well, then I move we approve John Cantor to do the paving project as listed in the minutes package here.
I'll second it. All approved, all in favor?
Aye. Just FYI, we have 15 minutes.
Okay.
Before the chief kicks us out.
That's all right.
okay.
Year-end reports.
So I just put in here just for your information, this is our water dues and subscriptions, supplies, telephone and clothing. So at the end of the year, normally I go to a whole bunch of conferences which are included in this. And we were unable to travel this year or do any conferences, so we'll be turning back a little over $1,000 to the town this year, due to the fact that we just,
Extra money.
yeah, we could not do that. I also put in the end of the year cemetery revolving, updated with all of the end of the year bills. So we do have a little bit of a new totals for the end of the year. So we took in $69,865 total in the cemetery revolving fund. We expended $49,548.16, and the balance was $92,298.12. So I just wanted to give you guys the updated one because the last meeting it didn't have all the didn't have Blue Fax or the Seaside Arborist. So I wanted to make sure you guys had the correct totals.
So the 69,000, that's from lot sales?
Lot sales and interment fees, yes, which is up a lot from the previous year. So we do have a whole bunch of deeds that you have to sign, and I want to do this so that we can all have them signed. So we have, all the deeds that we sold this month were in Evergreen. And I don't know if it's because of the upcoming circle, but it seems like we have a rush on people buying lots in Evergreen. So I will hand you these. This is for 5 graves. That's the Soderbergs. This is for the Fitzpatricks and Dwyers. It's 2 graves. I should probably undo these for you. We have another one for Raymar Soderberg, which is for 2 graves. And then the Smiths bought 2 graves. The Smiths were the only ones who didn't live in the town, and they had to pay the additional fee for being out-of-towners.
And Robin, do you have a blue pen?
I do.
Thank you.
And so then we have a few bills to pay. We had water bills that were encumbered. We didn't receive the bills from the water department until the 13th of July. So I immediately did my procurement form for the encumbrances for FY21. They totaled $367.61. So if you could, so it was for Island Pond, South Harwich, Mount Pleasant, Pine Grove, and North Harwich. And the total was $367.61. Then we had,
You're gonna need to
Gave away
sign.
my pen before I signed.
and then we have 2 bills from WB Mason. One is for the small desk that we purchased for $169.19. That is for our AmeriCorps worker for next year, which will be working 2 days a week for us. I bought red pens. They were $1.87. Eversource bill. Actually, the Eversource bill was not $19.02. It was sorry about that, $8.91 because we paid the past due amount. And the annual dues to the Mass Cemetery Association, which was $2.50. And that's it. A lot of signing now. So we are supposed to do a tour today of Mount Pleasant and Kelly. Are you guys still able to do that today, or are you not able to do it today? if you wanna put it off for another day, we can make another meeting, if that's,
Then we get to our several others.
yeah, I know that, Rob has a family thing that he has to get to, and,
And out of all days of the year, my electrician, after 2 years, is finally showing up.
okay. So maybe we can
Yeah, we had a really
postpone,
long
maybe we can
process.
postpone the tour for today.
Yeah, I think so.
And I will, get some dates for you guys, and then we will, have a meeting, call a meeting to order, and then we can go out. Or I can find out how we have to do that. Okay,
And then everybody, if they could start looking over the rules and regulations, see what you like.
okay,
Because a lot of them have a general in the beginning, which I think it should be nice to add to this.
okay. So maybe I can make a meeting halfway through the month, and we can do a, quick rules and regulations and then a tour?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll look at some dates, and I will,
Quick rules and regulations.
Quick
Oh,
look.
you're fine.
like,
You're funny.
like, just take the first section, not a quick rules and regulations, you know what I mean? Not a whole in-depth. Alrighty.
I've been looking over a lot of it, and all, the rules are almost the same between all the towns, but they're just written differently. Some sound more friendly than others.
I know, did you reach Adams? So, and another note, that the woman who was the cemetery administrator for the town of Chatham has left. And, Megan Eldridge reached out to me that the town of Chatham will be, calling me and asking me for guidance to set up their new, administrator once they get hired. So, just
Are
like,
they paying you extra for that?
See, I'm not the only one.
They should.
okay.
It's an extra job they're putting on your shoulders.
Okay.
Well, you know, at least something, some.
Okay.
Compensate you somehow, really.
But that's still nice of you
Yeah.
to help out,
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
She's still in
especially since all my relatives are all over there.
Okay, Steve, would you,
I moved to close the meeting at 9:12.
Can I,
Right.
I'm
Oh.
sorry, I forgot to ask if there's anything else. Or did I miss
Anything
that?
else? Sorry, I
Okay.
didn't ask.
It's because Rob's cracking the whip over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, I wanna ask you quickly, whose idea was it to have the music in the Arboretum?
so we actually, it was, Ashley was the one who actually wanted to do music along with cause Mount Auburn, that's how Mount Auburn does theirs. And I think when we did discuss it, I, at one of the meetings, did say that we had a band. I didn't say, I should have said they're the senior band who practices here, who plays classical music, which I probably should have said that. And I think people read into that we were having bands.
Yeah,
So
a
it's
little,
an
yeah.
orchestra.
So they're an orchestra, and
Yeah.
and the Celtic band that was going to be playing was just the young Ford children who was
Right,
who were just going to play acoustic guitar and violin.
Right.
So I think I probably, by saying it was a band, probably I think scared people off, but it was really just violins. But
Right, I know you had said that. I was
Yeah.
just curious, is that something that we should have approved of?
we did have it at a
the
meeting.
commission?
Yeah.
Did we approve of it?
Gave you the brochure and it
Right.
had it in there, but I don't remember.
It wasn't a motion, it was just,
Right.
Yeah,
this-
yeah.
that we're,
It was just a
we're gonna,
discussion.
yeah, it was
I
just,
just
yeah.
wondered.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it was more in, could be wrong, you know, paired with the Arboretum.
Yeah, I think it was
As
just
opposed to
conversation, which
Cemetery
Which-
function, yeah.
so I think that probably it didn't go forward as you're aware.
Right.
So and that might be something we want to discuss at another meeting, but
Okay,
at this point, I don't think we should be moving forward with it.
no.
I mean,
I
we've
agree,
got too
I
much
agree.
on our plates and we've got so much other stuff to do that
Yeah.
I don't even have time for that. So Ashley was working on that exclusively. I don't even have enough time to do that. And so it was something that she thought would be a nice thing to have soothing music playing in the background.
No,
And I
agree.
think that it just got,
It was
Just-
mistaken, I think.
yeah.
and it's probably my fault. I misspoke.
But I'm just curious, should we have approved of that
I,
to cover our butts, or? I'm-
probably, I guess.
Okay.
I think we approved the flyer or something.
Yeah, I did give
Yeah.
you the flyer, yeah. But,
I'm just thinking to myself that with the, the pet cemetery and all that, I don't want people to come up and be upset with us over anything.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people ask me about the different things.
Yeah.
And just mulling it over, I'm thinking, like the scavenger hunt and stuff. And you mentioned something about doing something with the kids, like Harry Potter thing or something.
Yeah,
And
so,
I kind of think those things are inappropriate.
okay,
And I think most of the people that have mentioned something to me think it's like outrageous. I don't think it's outrageous. I
Right.
think maybe
Well,
it's
it's- so
inappropriate,
we-
but we can discuss
yeah.
it later.
yeah, so the Harry Potter thing was to get younger kids engaged in trying to
Exactly.
find the different trees, because the wands are made from different
Exactly.
trees.
Right.
So it wasn't really it's not really a scavenger hunt, it's for them to find the trees, and for young kids to get engaged in learning about different trees.
I mean, I had the initial reaction was the same thing, you go, Harry Potter in a public cemetery, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't, no one's gonna be dressed up.
No, but I think
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna run into,
Yeah.
where we have
It's
an
a working-
arboretum in a cemetery.
Right.
And
Right.
two different functions, I mean,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
those are really good concerns.
Just have to
yeah.
be concerned, I think, about
Yeah.
our wording maybe,
Okay,
Maybe we could have that as an item at a next meeting, just to really discuss it.
okay,
Thank you.
To word things better.
Maybe do some guidance or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
so,
we close the meeting at 9:16.
So moved.
That's quick.